Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Final Fantasy XII Ultima project here, where last time, as you recalled, we went and put kind of some of the slight detailing on the head. We kind of put the dress on there, kind of mocked it up real quick to get an idea of what this would look like in the end. However, we can't keep it like that. So what I've done in the interim is I've stripped off all the details on there and kind of left a solid core and hardened that so that when we go and add our details to this afterwards, we now have a solid base we can go up against. As you can see, yes, I did harden that. So it's going to give us a solid something to push against, push against. So we're not going to be kind of squishing things around as it goes. It'll be a little more in there. That said, I have, since recording this, I have done the entire head part is finished. The helmet, the wings, the horns, everything is 100% done. And we have a lot of editing stuff going on in this video. I'm dubbing over this right now, as you can probably imagine. And yeah, for my own sanity and my own sake, just on the editing side of things, editing is a gigantic time sink. So I've decided to split this into two separate parts. This will be the first half of the headgear going in this session, and then the next session will go and we'll finish things off. So what I'm pointing out right now is we're going to break this into a couple different parts. I'm going to have the main basing out we're going to do, which is then going to be followed by kind of doing the hair you can see down the side and kind of on the forehead stuff. We'll get the horns done, and then after that, you can get the kind of those ear guards going, and then the feathers going on top of that. But for now, let's just add some clay. All right, and with that, you can see we kind of got the basic shape of the miter slash. Yeah, I still haven't looked it up. I still think it's the word miter. It's worth to describe it, but yeah, no, we have the basic shape, and we're starting to add some of the details in here. And at this point now we have kind of the framing of the face, and we're going to kind of focus on this face area. So you can see down at the bottom, she has the hair that does kind of stick down over there. So we're going to give a little bit of kind of the hair detail going on here. Shoop-a-doop-a-doop. There we go, you have a little bit of hair going. Now, some of the fun part I'm having on this project, or on this detailing whole phase, doing the headgear stuff, is I'm essentially trying to fit the details I would normally stick on one of my 10-inch tall models. I'm trying to convert that into a 5-inch tall figure that I have here. So this has been it's been an interesting experience trying to get as much stuff as I did on here. So some of the details may wind up a little bit rougher in the end on this than they would on one of my larger models, but it just kind of is what it is at this point. But overall, it's kind of pretty good. Now, as you can see, don't slow down, computer. Oh, my laptop is chugging right now. Alright, so you can see we can have the kind of hangs down right in the middle over the hair. She has that kind of little piece that comes down. So I'm trying very so delicately to get that on without messing up the detail I've already done or the hair. And this part's actually not that hard to do. This one does kind of pop on easy enough. And it's easy enough to kind of trim it into the size and kind of shape it needs to be. But I want to give just a little, I want to give enough detail in here so when I do the painting side of things, at least the brush will be able to stop on a good edge. One of the issues you can have with these like really small details, if you try to do too much and then paint over it, is your brush can kind of get stuck on little awkward corners and whatnot. So it really is worth, if you're putting in something physical, to actually make it as neat as you can, just so when the brush hits it, it has a place to stop. Now, as you can see on the image on the left there is more detail on that I'm going to be putting into this model here, and that's mostly a matter of size and my own discretion doing this. If you're doing your own model, you can put in as much or as little detail as you want, depending how much time you want to put into this. But again, I enjoy the process of doing these. Certain small details like that I may or may not 100% put in, but that's kind of our own discretion. And you can see she has I'd say it's a necklace. It's not a necklace, whatever the one that goes over the forehead. I'm sure there's a word for that, and I'm not going to be drawing it right now. But we need to get a little bit of that detail in too. So that again, when it comes time for painting, I have something I can go off of for that. Only, for whatever reason, I decided not to glue. I figured if I tried to glue this on, the glue itself would spread out over places and make things really weird. So I'm just trying to push this into place. And it's having kind of mixed results on that front. It's not the easiest to work with when it's not actually, when glue, or when the clay is not actually glued onto whatever surface you want to do. We do get this in the end, but it does take some work to get this done. But all the same, even with the difficulty it is, I'm still trying to make it look somewhat correct. And then once this is done, we're going to kind of start going into the horn area up top is going to be our next focus. And we're going to kind of speed through the initial stage of that. I can go back over once we get started, but hang tight and let's creation. Okay, so if you watched any of my other models I've done, whether it's been the Bang model, the Kai Shulin model, or the Mid model, you'll recognize that in order to kind of stiffen things up, I employ a lot of kind of wireframe stuff inside. So we just kind of we bent some more wire, stuck it in, and now we're just kind of adding clay to this. So first step is just basing it out. So you can see you kind of get a general form going. Still try to push all the clay in, get any air pockets out, make sure things are kind of solid. And yeah, every once in a while just kind of step back and take a look at it and kind of see that the form is coming the way we want it to come. And I'm trying very hard not to touch the stuff I've already worked on, but that fails in the end and we have to keep kind of tweaking things as we go. But for the most part, this is working out pretty good, and it's definitely an interesting design for this kind of angelic figure. Which is odd, because usually Final Fantasy games don't tend to go into kind of Christian references too much. Usually they kind of go into like more of the, I want to say defunct kind of mythology. I was going to say more mythology or mythological type stuff. Norse mythology comes up a lot. You get like Sumerian, Babylonian, like some Japanese stuff. You get kind of a number of the older kind of creation myth kind of things come in. So it's not, they don't tend to use the modern day ones. So this one does become interesting going with the Christian one that then has both the wings and the horns on top to kind of bring it all together to kind of show that the wings are there, that it's an angelic kind of figure, but the horns are in there to say it's a fallen figure to kind of get in. So it becomes kind of a hodgepodge, kind of an interesting mix of the mythologies kind of going on in here. And now that we have the basic form down, now you can see it's almost like a double trunk kind of going up there. So now that we have the clay on there, it's time to start moving it around and make it look a little more correct. And again, it starts, as with most, it starts off looking kind of rough at the get-go here, but it does start looking pretty dang good as it goes on. Yeah, even though we can't see the backside of this, I still need to do the backside because, well, reasons. No one's ever going to see the backside because when this thing goes on display, the backside's always got to be covered and facing the back wall. But we're still going to do it. Got to make it look good. It's all about making it look good. And one of those general rules of thumb is you never have enough clay. So always adding more. It always seems like adding more, adding more, adding more, adding more. But kind of how these always work. You just kind of keep adding it until it looks right in the end. Smooth it out, add a little bit, smooth it out, add a little bit, smooth it out. Now we do have that hump kind of up top. So time to start adding that into the mix here. While still trying to maintain everything else going on. Because again, nothing's been hardened at this point yet. Actually, by the end of this session, I don't think I hardened anything until after this session ends. So this gets more delicate as time goes on. Okay, and just we need to add more to the outside one, need to add a little more to the smaller inside one. Because again, rule of thumb, there's never enough clay, always need to add more. I believe at this point I'm hitting that phase of something's not looking right, and I got to figure out real quick how to fix this, because it's definitely not reading anywhere near correct at this point. We might have the right elements in place, but they're not in the right proportions in the right place. So let's see if we can iron out some of these details here. And again, somebody who does this kind of for a living, they can figure out this stuff really quick. Me, it takes a hot second to work my way through some of these detailing areas. And even then, we'll work with what we do know, like this. I know that has to be done. And then we'll work towards what I don't know. So. You can see it is taking shape. It's just we have a big crevice in the middle of this where it really shouldn't be a big crevice in the middle. It should look like a horn in the middle with a smaller kind of thesis on the inside. So let's see if we can fix that. Spoilers, I already know the answer to that. Because again, this is being dubbed. This is not being recorded live. Or I'm not speaking to you live right now. Hey, now we're starting to get somewhere. A little rough, but at least the form is getting a little more correct. That said, I will only be showing one side of this. Just imagine once we get this side done, the other side is going to be done off camera because I don't need to show the same thing twice. You get the idea of A, what's going on, and B, how long it takes to do what's going on. So that seemed to be a good way to go about doing this. Alright, we're getting there. We're getting there. This is definitely looking better than it was just a couple minutes ago. Top of the horn still is bad, but at least this base part is getting there. Alright, and just as we do on the front, we need to do the same on the back. And the side. Also the side. Now this is why we put that metal rod in the middle there, or the wireframe piece, so we can kind of push and pull on this thing, and it does keep its form. So, big reason why I do that. Now, horn was that part was just looking way too big, so we had to shrink that a little bit. I think this brings it quite a bit more to the actual size we want. It didn't have to be as in your face as it was before. And just as we had that, we need to do the inside, the upper part. Now we do deviate slightly on the upper part of the horn in that we don't end at a super ridiculously sharp point on the end, because this is clay. If you end on a point, like a really kind of sharp point out of clay, that will 100% break. I've had that happen on a number of different models that I've done early on, where you want something to get kind of sharp. In the end, it doesn't withstand the test of time. So we're just kind of that's as sharp as that top is going to get. And now, as you can see, we need to wrap the bottom part of this to kind of make that transition from the miter to the horn. So trying to get this clay kind of in place. Wrap it around, do a little choppy chop here, and just kind of blend the pieces together. kind of push it in place. As you can see, we do want this to conform to the horn's shape. So I'm just kind of pushing it in with emphasis at where each kind of undulation comes in. So that kind of mirrors that form a little bit. And adds just a little more detail to it. Thankfully, little drops like that don't tend... The clay is firm enough that little drops like that don't really harm anything. I know I've done that on a number of other models and stuff too. It just... Thankfully, that is the way it is. Very thankful this is the way it is. It's not Play-Doh. This is super sculpty. I believe it's medium blend. And because I've had my hands all over this, we need to retouch up that just a little bit. So there we have it. We have the basics of the one side. I see the horn got a little funky over there. Yep, let's pull that off. Don't need that. And I believe snap of the fingers here, bam, look at that, other side's magically done. At the same time, this has still not been hardened at this point. So now we're going to go and start adding the bottom part of the helmet here. So we do need this to end on the bottom. I was putting a band down there so that ultimately we need to have enough room for the hair to be able to stick out on the bottom and the ends. We do need to kind of fluff open a little bit, which we'll get to in just a second. If you've ever seen me do shoes or boots, kind of smooth that in, smooth that up, blend it in, and bam. Cut off the excess and crimp it open just that little bit, so that ultimately we can kind of fit hair under there. You see that's going to then pop out. And with that done, you do a little detailing. So we keep these lines going up, doop doop doop, before starting the top. So we got a little piece, kind of popped it in. Got a little kind of crevicey detail in that. And now doing our series of lines that kind of go up this midpoint. And just as with the front, we have to do the same on the back. Trying to be as neat as I can. And then if you look on the side there on the left, there's that kind of window-ish place at the base of where the horn kind of comes into the miter. So I'm just kind of making little indents for that to kind of be visual as well. When we get to the painting phase, that will probably stand out a lot more than it does right here. But again, it adds just a little bit of detail to this. And again, although I have no visual evidence it happens on the back, we're still going to do it on the back. Because every back view I have from this is from a 20-year-old PlayStation 2 game that it's hard to get details off of that type of situation. There are no renderings of the back of her. And just as with the other kind of lines going around, we're going to add an extra little detail-y with this one too. And that part done, to get these horizontal lines in. Now we need to be really kind of careful, because now wherever my fingers go is going to be hitting everything. So trying to be as neat as I can on this part, but as you've seen with the previous video, we can always smooth things out as we need to after with the mineral spirits before we get to the hardening phase. Because after this part is done, we are definitely heading into hardening. Because there's too much stuff going on here at that point to not harden this and turn into a gigantic disaster. Yeah, so I start from one side, I kind of start from the other to make sure the end points hit each other, and then I kind of meet in the middle. And that seems to be a method that works out pretty well, rather than start from one side and go the entire way through, because then there's a chance you can miss and not quite line up 100% correct, and that would be bad. I have one more of these to do. Make sure they're kind of deep enough there. And there we have it. We have a little bit of cleaning up to do, but that is the basic form of both the main miter body there and those horns going up and in. And that's, generally speaking, where we're going to end this session. And then next session we go and do kind of those ear kind of areas, and we get the wings and the feathers and all that, and the engineering that goes behind. That part will be done next time. But yeah, editing has been a gigantic time sink, and for my own safety, we're just stopping right there. So enjoy.